Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Coach's Approach podcast, where we take an inside look at the coaching world. As always, I'm your host, George Gresco. Please continue to follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and check out thecoachesapproach.com for everything you need to know about the podcast there. Tonight's show is brought to you by Coach's Dry Rub, the All-American Rub. Lay it on thick until it sticks. Get your own bottle at tombaskitchen.com. Anthony's Family Restaurant in Eastlake on the corner of 91 and Vine Street, where together is our favorite place to be. Open for dine-in, carry-out, and curbside pickup. Last but not least, G&G Printing. Get your custom apparel printed in 7 to 10 days or less. Dominate your design. Tonight, your season 3 finale, season 3, episode 9, Vince Lombardi. We welcome the manager of football operations for the Los Angeles Rams, Vince Hug. Vince, welcome to
How
the
we
show.
doing?
Good. How are
Thanks
you?
for having me.
Yeah, it's always
I'm
good.
good.
It's always good to have a fellow Ranger on the show.
Yeah. No, that's one thing. I definitely am excited to be on here and excited to speak with you, and definitely excited about the podcast you got going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a little, breakdown at the end of the start of the show. We had, some technical difficulties. So I'm using my camera for my laptop tonight. So we're gonna do our best with it.
Hey, gotta beat that adversity.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, Vince, your resume speaks for itself. You've been around many football programs from college to the NFL. Can you talk about your journey of how you kind of got to where you are at now with the Rams?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously started in Lake County at Eastlake North, went to high school there. Obviously know you, got to watch you play with my little brother. He's
Yep.
wondering why you didn't throw the ball to him more in high school. But no, he told me about the time he dropped a bunch of passes in practice and got kicked off wide receiver team. So, uh, but no, I started off there. Obviously, had some great mentors there with Coach Sankel in baseball and Coach Toth in football, and then went on to Lake Erie College, played football and baseball there. Was hoping they'd pull the trigger on you too to go there too, get another
Yep.
Ranger at the Storm, but played football and baseball there, and that's really where I got my kind of start to where I am here today. Um, I was lucky enough to play two sports in college, and uh, our baseball coach and football coach were okay with me missing spring ball and winter ball, which, if anyone knows, those are great opportunities to grow, but not the same as games. So what I did was I was a punter in football, and then like the sixth or seventh corner. So obviously was seeing a
Right.
lot of defensive playing time. So I really during practice, obviously there's only so much you can do to punt and work on your drop. I was a holder as well, so work on your holding. But when I wasn't doing that, I was really going around to all the position groups, really trying to learn as much as I could. I did play on kickoff. I was on kickoff, not as the kicker. I was terrible at kicking, surprisingly. Everybody thinks if you're a punter, you can really kick, but I could not. Um, so I really went around and learned everything. I played scout defense the first couple years, and then I was lucky enough to move over to scout offense. And actually, a couple times was able to play quarterback to keep my arm in shape for baseball because I was a pitcher in college.
Right.
So I did that, and then one afternoon, the head coach was like, "Hey, like, would you want to be a graduate assistant and help out and with us in football?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." So being at a small school, we only had 1,200 kids at Lake Erie. So you worked in admissions was my main graduate assistant, and then
Sure.
whenever I had time to get off, then I would do football. So when you're at a smaller school, you get to really do everything under the sun. So me and Coach Boyez was our other graduate assistant. He and I really had to go all over the place, do everything under the sun. I mean, even your coordinators and position coaches were doing stuff, but we had to do laundry, we had to do video, uh, and then we also would help any way we could on travel, really anything under the sun you could help on, as well as coach position and recruit. So
Right.
that was really kind of where I got to see all the behind the scenes stuff as well as coaching. And so I got done with that, finished my master's in education, and I really applied anywhere for coaching I could possibly find in college. So NAIA, Division 3, Division 2, Division 1, anything I could find, I was willing to do. Unfortunately, nothing came about, so I'm like, well, if I'm not going to coach, I'm going to go find somewhere beautiful to live where it's nice all year round. So I ended up getting a job in admissions at Arizona State University. And so it's one of the went from a very small school to the one of the largest in the country. And worked in admissions the first couple of years, but after the first year, I really was missing that team camaraderie, that one-on-one, more opportunities you have to impact students and impact people. So I would I went in the office when Coach Erickson was the coach there at the time, and just went in there and was like, "Hey, I work in admissions. I'd really love an opportunity to volunteer." And got told a couple times like I wouldn't go in there and bother them a ton because that's definitely not what my MO was just see if they needed help. So finally, or unfortunately, Coach Erickson got let go. They kept saying no to me with that staff. And then Coach Graham came on board, and luckily he kept the gentleman that kept telling me no. His name was John Wren. One of my I was lucky enough to have as a mentor. He was the director of football operations. They kept him on. He's like, hey, this guy keeps coming in to see if he wants to volunteer. He knows admissions for the university. So they ended up putting me in the back. Worked with quite a few staff that were in the recruiting behind the scenes. So I'd go work in admissions, take a bus. So there's multiple campuses.
Right.
I'd take a bus all the way from Glendale to Tempe, which is about an hour. And then I would go and they'd have a stack of 8x11 card stock of about 350 recruits. And I'd stuff them, label them, and then seal them, and that way they could go out every morning. And I did that every night until it got done. And then on weekends, I would do whatever they needed me to do as far as recruiting goes, official visits, unofficial visits, just speaking with parents and family and stuff like that. And I really got lucky the one time I was walking around or doing a campus tour with one of our top recruits, and by like my fifth campus tour, they're like, man, this guy really knows the campus. He knows the Nobel laureates. He knows all the professors, the colleges. So they put me with one of their top recruits, and Coach Graham was on the golf cart with me. And he's like, who the heck's this guy? And he's like, he's like, you always wear a tie. Like because you always stay behind the scenes in the recruiting office. You don't want to bother the coaches and everything like that. So a few weeks later, they offered me a internship with them. So I quit my full-time job, took an internship, making no money, no benefits, and all that, and was like, "Let's do this."
Right. You're just out here hustling, doing everything
Yeah,
possibly you can. That's awesome.
exactly. So, did recruiting, did official visits, unofficial visits during games, like sit with the recruits and their families, and really just selling what the university and our program was all about. But what really intrigued me was all the different things that I wanted to learn from an operational standpoint. So I really wanted to know not only the recruiting side, but the operation side. So I really started doing whatever I could on that side as far as when they were doing workouts and things like that. How can I help? When they're doing video, like how can I help? When they're doing training table, how can I help? I really did anything I could to just get my opportunity to learn as much as I could. So after a year, I approached our senior associate AD of football. His name was Tim Cassidy, and he also was a great mentor of mine. Lucky enough to be under him. He was the OG of directors of football operations at Texas A&M. So I got lucky with having him be my mentor too. And so I'm like, hey, I know there's a internship position in operations. I'd really love the opportunity to work in operations. So as soon as I got there, really just tried to do everything I could to help them up as far as little things. So I stuff the fridge every day. I still to this day teach everyone how to stock a fridge and do it the correct way. It's the little things that matter in operations. And you ask anyone that's worked with me or that's worked with me, they know how to stock a fridge, and they know I know how to stock a fridge. But really, like, I was just doing everything I could in operations, and anything and everything they could ask me to do, I would get done. As long as it was legal by law and by the NCAA, of course, I was getting
Right.
it done. So by the end of it, really, I was working in operations and really just doing anything Coach Graham needed me to do. I would help out whenever he needed a vehicle or picked up from the airport. I was the person. Whenever we had boosters that needed to be picked up after hours, like I was willing to do that. And it really gave me the opportunity not only to get to know players and staff, but really get to know like their families as well. So that was like a big part of my growth. And uh, during games, I would really just do anything they needed me to do, whether it was help get food in the locker rooms, help with the families of staff and players, make sure buses were ready, hotel was ready, things like that. And it really helped me to carry myself to where I am in my career today. So I was at Arizona State for 6 years, 5 years in football, and then one of my friends uh, in recruiting, Paul Tremblay, he's like, hey, I worked with my head coach in college is the head coach at San Jose State. His name's Ron Carragher. He's looking for a DFO. I recommended you. And
Right.
sure enough, a week later, I get a call from Coach Carragher. He's like, hey, talked to a couple people about you. I've heard you are a great person, and would love to get you out here and really have the opportunity to be my DFO. So I went out there and met with them, and um, really just we clicked really well. And so I moved out there, packed up everything into my Grand Prix from high school, and moved it out there and got my first DFO job out there. And it was definitely a great opportunity, to say the least. Unfortunately, we were going into our fourth year of Coach Carragher's contract, so there was definitely a lot of high stakes at that time.
Sure.
But he really let me implement my ideas that I had as far as how from behind the scenes run a program and how to make everything great. Being that you're in the Mountain West, you're definitely balling on a budget, and I take that everywhere I go. You need to make a lot with a little. So we really tried to create as much of a nice facility. We were still raising money for a new facility, so we worked on all of that. And I was entrenched with doing all the travel, all the fundraising with Coach Carragher. I was the dietitian, assisted with video whenever they needed it. We ran our play cards for the scout team on
Oh
the
yeah.
scoreboard. So I did that so we could run spread faster for no huddles and stuff like that. So we really tried
Man,
to,
I like that idea. That's a good idea.
it worked great. It takes a lot of people knowing what they're doing, and
Yeah.
a lot of trust in your administration to let you not screw up the scoreboard, but it definitely worked out.
Too funny.
Yeah. So after our season, unfortunately, we didn't do as great as we had hoped. So they had moved on from Coach Carragher, and Coach Norvell was at the University of Nevada, just got hired, and he was very close with my mentor, Tim Cassidy. And Tim's like, hey, if you don't have a guy, this is your guy. You need to call him. He's got a new staff coming in, so definitely call him, see if he's interested. So he calls me. Actually, I texted him and I said, hey, congratulations on your getting a position coaching or a head coaching job. And he's like, sorry, who is this? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I helped him. Uh, I helped him and his family move into Arizona State, but he had a ton of guys, so I always still give him stuff about that. But after he's like, oh, Vince, sorry, like this is a new phone, and so I went out there, met him on Tuesday, moved to Reno on a Thursday, and we started building the program from the ground up. And it was truly an incredible process. It's something that you hope you never have to go through. I went through seeing an entire staff get let go, and then when I was at San Jose, and then when we got to Nevada, we hired I think 22 people within 3 weeks.
Wow.
And had it down, how to bring them in, interview them, really get to know who they are, what their philosophy are, how they are as a human. Do they mesh with what we're trying to bring to this program, to the city and to the university? And it was a great experience. He and I lived in a casino for about a month and a half and rode to work together. And then we lived in a casita and a guest house. And I mean, we really got to know each other and became very close friends. And definitely owe a lot to him. And we really built Nevada into something we had hoped it could be. Now, unfortunately, in 2020, COVID hit,
Yeah,
and
what a year
yeah, it was a doozy to say the least.
for sure. Now,
So he and
Coach,
I,
you
sorry,
no, you're good. Your job title with the Rams is manager of football operations.
yep,
Can you expand on like what your day-to-day responsibilities are?
yep. So when COVID happened, I really tried to entrench myself in getting to do NFL stuff and bringing that to Nevada. Well, I reached out to about 20 people within the NFL and was lucky enough to meet Sophie Harlan, and she's the director of football operations with the Rams. She's my boss lady. She's awesome, and so she's like, "Hey, I need someone. If this season happens, you're my guy. If you're interested, let's interview and see how it goes." Well, sure enough, it happens. Coach Norvell's like, "Go, you got to go. It's the
Yeah,
opportunity. These don't happen every day." So we get there and she she really has allowed me to kind of take the lead on away games and take the champion away game travel. So whether we start with finding away hotels, building out what's great that fits our program and what our head coach and our GM are really looking for in those hotels to succeed in those away games. And then once they select those and the season happens, I'll go out and advance those games. So I'll leave on a Thursday. The team will arrive on a Saturday. I really just make sure everything's ready to go, whether it's having the hotel, make sure all the rooms are set, the meeting rooms are set for them. We do our own Wi-Fi. So it's like when you walk into your house and you connect to it. So that way all of their iPads and phones connect, meet with the plane, bus company, everything you can think of. We do a stadium tour. So we know when the team gets there, they expect us to know where everything is. So it's myself and our fellow Elena. She actually went to the Ohio State University. So I'm trying to keep that Ohio connection going. But her and I advance, and really once the team lands, it should feel like they're not skipping a beat. So we really try and make that as much accommodating as we can. I mean, we get new coaches, when we get new players, we book their travel, their hotels in LA. Same with Combine, we help out wherever we can with that as far as hotels and flights and things of that nature. So it's really anything and everything you can think of. We're the last line of defense. We got to figure out how to get it done.
Right. So if a team ever has problems with their hotel reservations, they know who to go to.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a fun job.
Right. Now, you said during 2020 you started work with the NFL. Was the NFL always kind of been a part of your dream? Is that kind of something you always wanted to do?
Uh, I always thought about wanting the opportunity to be in the NFL. Browns are always my second team, and so I definitely inspired to be, whether it was at Ohio State or with the Browns. And so, I mean, just getting the opportunity to work under the shield and work with the Rams organization was and is truly a blessing, because there are few and far between the opportunities that you can get when it comes to being in the NFL, and especially with a great organization and great leadership that we have at the Rams. It's unbelievable, and they definitely let people do their jobs, and they trust you to do whatever it takes to help them succeed as an organization.
Absolutely. And coach, you've also been a part of the college level and the NFL level. What would you say is the biggest differences from going from college to the NFL?
I would say the biggest thing is probably academics and compliance. Uh, you don't have to worry about any of that. You don't have to class check. You don't have to make sure that you're then now the NFL still has rules, but they're nothing to do with raise NILs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like the players go out and get that stuff themselves,
Right.
but there are certain rules you do have to follow. So there's a compliance office when it comes to the NFL, but it's not as detailed as far as what you can and can't give players.
Sure.
Um, that's all in their contract, what they can and can get.
Right.
Also, boosters. There's one owner within our organization, Mr. Cronky and his family, and they are amazing. I've been around some incredible boosters that you help with the organization or with the programs, but there's only one owner in the NFL, or there's a couple within different organizations. But I would say just going out and fundraising is something that you don't have to do, but you do miss those relationships you make. So that's one thing that uh, it's more of a business when it comes to the NFL. Now, I've been out of college since NILs happened, and I
Right.
know that's changed the game a lot from what I've heard from a lot of my friends and people I still talk to. But it's definitely those are probably the biggest thing is academics. You don't have to go do class checks, and I did that everywhere I went. So no surprise attacks for them.
Right. Now, your career, as I mentioned, speaks for itself. As a young guy that has made it to the NFL level, what is something that has kind of motivated you throughout your career?
Honestly, it's been my family and my friends. And when I first got on the journey, there was just so many people that were willing to help me. Obviously, being in a internship role, you have a lot of sacrifice, and it's not just you, it's your friends and family that are trying to help you out. And just seeing the opportunities that you provided student athletes was a big thing for me. And then really getting to impact people. Uh, every day we get to impact people, and I hope that I people think I'm utilizing it to impact people in the correct way and in the right way. But we really get to do great things that a lot of people dream they could do. So it's definitely something that I was always dreamed about, and now I get to do it as a reality.
Oh, that's awesome. Coach,
Mhm.
you're at a very high up leadership role within the Rams organization. What would you say are the best qualities of a leader?
I think being a people person and listening to the people around you and utilizing what their ideas are and making the best decision for the organization. I think those are the big things. Is really just you have so many great people around you that you can utilize. Everybody has different ideas, and really in putting all those together to make what you think is the best thing for your organization and to make you and your team succeed.
Absolutely. I have to ask this question. I'm a huge Baker Mayfield fan, Browns fan. I'm still a little disappointed. Browns got rid of Baker Mayfield.
Shake and
How,
bake.
how happy were you guys with Baker Mayfield the final few games of the season this year?
Oh, Baker was great. Again, we do a lot of things with not only the players but their families, and got to meet a lot of his family. And on I met his family before I met him. I'm after the game winner against the Raiders last second. But no, Baker was great, and I think it's really one thing that we've been lucky to have with the Rams is a lot of great players and great people.
Sure.
Um, so I've nothing but everybody that from Cleveland's like, hey, you got Baker, let me know how he is. And like, love Baker. He was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Coach, the coolest part of the story in 2022, the Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl, beating the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. Can you talk a little bit about the events leading up to the Super Bowl and what it was like the day of the Super Bowl for someone in football operations?
Yeah, so it was definitely unique. We were the away team. We're both away teams, but it was in LA. So we were the first team post COVID that had hosted the Super Bowl in your own city.
Yeah.
So we didn't move and create a new facility. We were able to stay at Cal Lutheran University. That's where our facilities are. And we created as much as we could. We had our media day at our facility. And then all of our staff did an amazing job. We had an event at a local high school, and what our team did was incredible. Um, our media team, our partnerships, our operations, and I mean, it was incredible what they did in this high school. They threw this huge party, and it was in 3 days. NFL Network was there. Um, and then after that, we went down to our hotel for a day. And what we really tried to do was try and have events for the friends and family of the players so that the players could really focus on the game. The coaches could focus on the game. So we had events, we had parties, we had all different kinds of things for them to do. So it was really trying to juggle two different things. You're in the Super Bowl, you're trying to make sure players stay focused on the game, but you want to make sure that their families are taken care of and they have a great time too. So it was crazy. And they always say it's the worst 2 weeks you hope to have as a person in operations.
Right.
So
I couldn't imagine.
yeah, it was
Especially
crazy.
you're in LA, like just everybody's there. Everybody's there.
Oh yeah. Oh, everybody thinks they're VIP. It's a lot, but no, you take over a hotel. We had some people. We had over 60 buses that our operations team and our stadium team, Kristen and Tommy and Sophie and Alex. I mean, there was a bunch of us that we all put together as the best possible event for our families and the most uh, original and same home game feel as we could for our players and coaches.
Wow.
So it's definitely crazy.
Now,
And then
since you were the away team, did you have to go? Did you guys get your own locker room? Like, was it the home locker room, or did you have to go to the away locker room?
no, so we were able to utilize our own locker room.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so the Chargers have their own locker room and we have our own locker room.
Gotcha.
And then there's 4 locker rooms connected to those. So it's massive.
Right. Well, that's
so
good.
we bust down there. And so I'm in charge of coaches movements for home games. So I ride with the coaches. We take a golf cart, we go up the elevators, and we're in the coaches booth, and then I troubleshoot with them. Well, normally we have these 6-seater golf carts. We only had 4-seater golf carts. So it was me and they have a driver assigned to you, and we're getting ready to go to the locker or go up to the coach's booth, and it's our bigger O-line coach and another coach, and then me and this woman, and the cart does a wheelie and almost slams into the wall of all this lighting right when we're heading there. We're like, holy cow, this is a hell of a way to start this game.
That's like the worst possible thing that can happen
to you. Take out a ton of lighting, get electrocuted, and then it would have been great. But
that's funny, man.
It was crazy. Yeah. But no, after the game, we have the coaches go down the elevator, and we almost weren't able to make our elevator because Commissioner Goodell was using the elevators. So we're all fired up winning the game, and I'm like, where's this elevator? Where's this elevator? We got to get down to celebrate. And it was crazy. I even had WWE send us a WWE championship belt. I took that out and gave it to our players. I don't even know where that is anymore, but
that's awesome.
It was an amazing time, and I was lucky enough to have my family or my parents, my wife and her family there, so it was a really cool experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, at least you didn't get stuck in the elevator. Like, I think it was a bowl game this past year or the year before. They got stuck in the elevator after they won the game.
Yeah, we have a group text with all the nightmares that we see throughout the year.
What was it like after the game? I'm sure I've seen the picture. What was it like to hold the Lombardi trophy? Like, after all the hard work that you've put in over the years, that's the holy grail to eventually hoist up the Lombardi trophy. What was that like for you?
It honestly doesn't feel real, and it really doesn't hit you until the day after that. You're the team that won it all, and it was incredible. And you're on the field and you get opportunity to kiss the trophy, and then you go celebrate with everyone and you have crazy after party. I mean, the time that really hits you is the parade. The parade is incredible. is the best time, and you get to celebrate it with your teammates, your whole organization, and it's a good time to say the least.
I bet, especially I couldn't imagine again in LA.
Yeah.
Coach, we have hit the point in the show for Rapid Fire 7. This is our fun segment in the show. I'm going to ask you 7 completely random, never seen before questions. You're just to answer them as fast as possible. And this segment's brought to you by G&G Printing. Vince, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. What is something on your bucket list?
To be a dad.
To be a dad.
I get to do that in February,
Oh,
or
that's
any
awesome.
minute now.
Oh,
So,
well, congratulations. That's awesome.
thanks.
If you won the lottery, what's the first thing you would do?
Ooh, probably put some in a college fund for my kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say it gets expensive. We all know,
Yeah.
especially you worked at admissions and whatnot.
Yeah. I don't know if they're gonna be gifted with athletic ability, so we can't take any risks.
Waffles or pancakes?
Ooh, pancakes.
Pancakes.
Pumpkin pancakes.
No, there you go. What would you say your biggest strength is?
I think I would say my willingness to do anything, and I think I have a good personality for it too.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, man, you have the Ranger blood in you. You always good
That's
personality.
right.
uh,
Eastlake.
would you rather visit the past or the future?
Probably the future.
Okay. Do you have any phobias?
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe I would say it was losing my hair, but we're already there.
Hey,
So
I'm getting close. I'm thinning out myself. And then the last question is, do you have any game day rituals?
ooh. I eat the same breakfast every day during the season. So I eat a veggie omelet and 3 pieces of bacon, which doesn't really make any sense, but
Right.
and then I have a smoothie, but I guess
There
that's
you
my
go.
only ritual.
You
I
don't wear
let
your
all the
boxers.
players
You
and
don't wear your
coach
boxers inside out or anything.
No, I let the coaches and players worry about their rituals. I worry about making sure that everything goes smooth.
I love it. Uh, that's always a fun segment on the show. But as we near the end of the show, I always ask this question to every coach that comes on. Who is Vince Hug for the listeners and viewers who might not know you? Who is Vince Hug?
I mean, I would like to think I'm a great husband, a great friend, great teammate. Um, Hopefully a great father. We'll see. But I definitely think I treat people the way that I want someone to treat me, and really willing to do anything to make sure people succeed, and not only myself, but help others succeed. Definitely a water carrier when it comes to things. But I think those are the biggest things, is just really a good friend and a good person, and definitely someone that doesn't take for granted the opportunities that come and the opportunities that happen in life.
No, absolutely. Well, Vince, I thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you guys are busy as heck right now, off season coming up, but I greatly
Well, thank
appreciate you
you.
coming on.
I really appreciate you having me. It's been great.
No, thank you again. But that's going to do it for tonight's episode of the Coach's Approach podcast. This was our season finale, so be on the lookout for season 4 coming up probably over the summertime and into the fall. But that's going to do it for tonight's episode of the Coach's Approach podcast. As always, I'm your host, George Gresco, and we'll see you guys later.